Hello, this is a video to show you how to work a horizontal braid in the round. It accompanies my Corra Linn Sweater pattern, but you could use the instructions for any other pattern where you've got to work one of these braids in the round. So this is a sample that I'm making of the Corra Linn Sweater. I'm doing this one in two colours, but the original pattern is just in one colour. So to start with, I've just moved my beginning of the round marker out of the way to help you see what I'm doing a bit more clearly. And to get the braid started, you need to cast on an extra stitch. So I just do it by knitting a stitch and then putting it back on the left hand needle. Now, the really important thing about doing this braid is to keep the working yarn pulled quite tightly, and there's a couple of places where you can do that. If you don't pull it tightly enough, what happens is you end up with really loose stitches on this row after the horizontal braid, and so you're trying to minimize that as much as possible by pulling it really tightly. So to get started, you go into the back of the second stitch on the needle, so through there, and before you knit it, pull this tightly. Okay, then you are leaving the stitch on the right hand needle here, and you're going into the front of the first stitch on the left hand needle. Pull it tight before you work the stitch, and then you move them across to the left hand needle. Then you put this first stitch back across, and then you go into the second stitch from the back of the work. Pull tightly before you work it. Don't take that stitch off. Go into the first stitch through the front, pull tightly before you work it, and then take the two stitches off. Slip the first stitch back across, knit into the back of the second stitch, pull tightly before you work it, and then go into the front of the first stitch, pull tightly before you work it, and then move them across. So you're pulling really tightly just before you wrap the yarn around your needle, and you almost want to pull more tightly than you think you need to. So into the back of the second stitch, pull tightly, go round, then go into the front of the first stitch, pull tightly and go round. Slip the first stitch back across, go into the second stitch, pull tightly, go into the first stitch from the front, pull tightly. And it's really worth taking your time to do the horizontal braid. It's fairly easy to drop a stitch, so just stop every so often to check. You'll probably, if you have dropped a stitch, you'll see it popping out along the bottom here. Okay, and just keep pulling tight and work around until you get back to the beginning of the round marker, and then I'll show you what to do once you get to that point. Okay, so I've worked my way round and I'm back at the beginning of round marker. So I have worked the last bit of the horizontal braid and I've slipped that stitch back across. I'm going to take the beginning of round marker off and put that stitch back across. Then just to sort of join it together, I'm going to lift the second stitch on the right hand needle over the needle and off. As if you remember, we increase one stitch at the beginning, so we need to decrease it away. So then I slip that back to the left. I'm just going to tighten that up a little, put my beginning of round marker back on, and then I'm ready to continue on with the rest of the pattern. I hope you found that video useful. If you have, don't forget to press the like button and follow my YouTube channel to stay in touch with lots of knitting video tutorials, and also catch up with my Knits and Cake for Breakfast series, which is up there every Thursday lunchtime. Okay, bye.